You should all be able to hear us, hopefully. Welcome to Heavyweight Gaming.
It's gravy time.
It's gravy time. Thank you very much for the host, Clockwork. I know that guy. What are you laughing at, Dominic? So, PLF 0519. I will do a quick recap. And yes, I am a murdering arsehole. Or horse murdering arsehole. I'm just an arsehole. Alright? But thank you, and welcome to Heavyweight Gaming.
It's gravy time.
Oh, Dwarf Warrior, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. It's 2021. Yes, some announcement recently may have pissed people off at the start of the year, but we don't care, because we're going to play dice games and pretend to be different people in a world of magic and no dragons. So, I have written some stuff to catch up. Everybody, 16 pages. No.
Catch up people from the very beginning.
Yes. So.
Yeah, I don't know the story from the very beginning.
Probably for the best.
First of all, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been ages and ages and ages, a good 2 or 3 weeks since we managed to play. We did a Christmas one-shot, which was very cool. We got to kill Jack Frost and obliterate a tree. Blight for the win, kids. Blight for the win. So it was very nice. I hope you all had a great Christmas, as quiet as it may have been, and our New Year as best you could. I know there was lots of virtual stuff going on, and thank all the paganism that there is tech in 2020, so we can still talk to each other. Right, so sponsors, we have Loke Battle Mats, who are incredible battle map makers. They make flipbooks, A3, A4, A5, etc. You just whip them out on the table. Boom, you've got a map to play on tundras, mountains, forests, etc. They've just recently done their Dominic, Samson. I'm trying to be famous here. I need you to be quiet. Okay, be quiet. Be quiet. What do you mean I'm not being famous? Just go sit down. Right? Jesus, done by my kids. So, yeah, go check out Loki Battle Mats. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter, just the internet. They're really good. They've just done a Kickstarter. Towns and Taverns, it's released. Really cool stuff. Go check them out. Coyote Grey. We use his tokens, his little chibi tokens on Roll20. They're really cool, and if we get to use Roll20 tonight, you'll get to see them. If not, you'll get to see them in our previous episodes, in future episodes. Depends when this lot kick off a fight, really. But they're really cool. Go to Roll20, go to the marketplace, look for Coyote Grey, and you'll see several packs he's done already of these chibi tokens. They're proper cool. I'm a massive chibi fan, so thank you for his sponsorship. We have Ashana, who is a glass crafter, and holy shitballs, we've got some stuff finally on the way to give away to you guys, all the way from America. Some some dice guardians. They are little glass dragons that you can put next to your D20s, and they will keep away the natural ones. See that? See that cheesy advertising? Right there, right there.
Mel will be the judge of that.
Yeah. Mel will have all of them.
Speaking of which, what's
So, as soon as they get over here, there'll be photos going up and stuff like this. And we've got a very unique, hopefully she can do it. She's already done a test run of some glass miniatures. So when they come over here, holy poop, I shall be very excited to see those be done and over here, etc, etc. Our other sponsor is Ruffworx Creative, who, if you go to the Heavyweight Gaming page on Facebook, or Twitch or YouTube or wherever I've put it, go on Twitch. There is a video of me doing an unboxing of a present that my beautiful wife acquired for me from Ruffworx Creative, and it is a Dungeon Master's screen. It is made of solid wood, it's got leather carving on it, it's got magnets on it, it's got beautiful clear perspex on it. It's such a cool thing. I will dig it out so we have to put it away because I have a 1.5-year-old coming in Jan. So it got put away. But go check out, just look at Twitch videos and check out that unboxing. Is absolutely stunning piece of work from Ruffworx Creative. And if you go check Ruffworx Creative out on Facebook and look at their photo album, you'll see loads of beautiful woodworking and leatherworking. Is that it for sponsors? Is it for sponsors? Yes, we've got a Patreon page. Patreon page done pretty well. We spent an entire year. Thank you very much. Maybonix, thank you. That has reminded me, I'll get to that bit in a second. And Dwarf Warrior as well. Maybonix beat you. Ooh. So, what was I saying? We've got a Patreon page that, if you go there and throw a few dollars at it, pounds, wherever you're from, then You will get a e-magazine or e-zine that is full of all the homebrew lore, classes, subclasses, spells, weapons, adventures, NPCs, etc., etc., of Colossus, the world we play our campaigns in. Is absolute, and there you go, Ruffworx. I'm just bigging you up. Thank you very much for the DM script. And you could go check it out. It's called Arcane Script. It's written by myself, a very, 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 very good friend of mine that we call Arcane, aka Rob. And it is incredible. We got on some new writers for this year, so there's now 4 of us pumping stuff into it, and they're already 15, 17 pages up for this month because they're lunatics. And then I've got to add my 10 pence worth. But yes, it's really, really, really cool stuff, and Arcane Script is amazing, and one day will be the only thing the world reads. So that's Patreon. We use Syrinscape for all our background music. Go check them out. They're amazing for ambient music-y stuff. And if you donate 200 bits to the show, session, episode, whatever you want to call it, this sort of get a free reroll. They can use it on only on themselves. They can't use it on the DM's rolls. They can't use it on death saving rolls. They can't carry them over to next session. They've got to use them this session. And they can only ever hold 5 at one time. Thank you. You've already on 3 rerolls.
Oh, 3 Gs.
So thank you very much, Dwarf
clearly
Warrior.
they have a
and
high
Dead Onyx.
opinion of how long we'll last.
Accurate though.
Happy New Year. Happy
PLF 0519. Stick around. Hopefully you'll enjoy the story. And Vox Machina wishes they were this lot. So yeah. So. All right.
Oh, there's a quick question.
Syrinscape.
Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say there's a quick question in the chat, Jade and Luke. Which sibling is older?
That's a good question.
Ooh, you have to find out, won't you? Wait until episode 42 where we have a birthday party. So, I'm going to do a quick recap of the story so far, and then a quick, well, we'll get on with it. So, Syrinscape, I've done Syrinscape, background music. Did I do Syrinscape? I'm doing Syrinscape again. We use it for background music. Alright, so I will have to say with Syrinscape, it does get loud and quiet, and it's on the same mixer as the players. So if it's very loud, please let me know and I'll turn it down. If you can't hear it, I'll try and turn it up. So I'm going to turn it down now because it just nearly killed me. Boom, here we go. Session 31, kids. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around you characters and kind of introduce you to the people that missed us for 3 weeks and anybody new. So we have Kesvion and Zandria. They are from the desert lands of Sarutfar in the south, and they are fair from a nomadic tribe, and this tribe is known as the Al-Haris. Kalain the Lancelord attended the tribe, requesting aid from the Jesuit, the Archfey of Autumn. Turns out that the humans of Ravenholm were intruding into the autumn forest known as the Forest of Copper, and the Jesuit, the Archfey of Autumn, needed those not of autumn to investigate. And so they called upon the children of summer, Kesvion and Zandria. And the pair headed north, on a ship called the Oaken Whale. Aristotle, a noble running from their responsibility within the House of Eagles, far to the east along the Ivory Wall, travelled far and far to the west of Ravenholm and joined a mercenary unit called the Savants. They simply were delivering a dagger. I say simply, they were delivering a dagger. It had never been so easy. Spending most of his time in and out of taverns and adventures of the bedroom, Ari is now on the path home with a sword that speaks of tales of wonder. And we have Sapphire, born and raised, on the tundras of Viconia. They left their tribe, name of tribe yet to be revealed, to seek peace and wisdom. Sapphire's travels took him to the Ver dynasty. The temple of Huar became home for the White Lion Tabaxi, and under the tutelage, we're going to go with that as a, am I saying that right? Tutelage?
Yeah.
Of Sensei Rin. Sapphire learnt to channel his internal rage into something more focused and usable. Sapphire was sent in search of echoes caused by crossings of time and planes, and he found himself in the land of Ravenholm. Now the party had previously had a member known as Dalefic, an elf from the Ver dynasty, and he was an elven blade singer that had a permanent aura of said echoes about them. Sapphire sought them out, and they disappeared. So now Sapphire must find a different path to such knowledge, as Daelfin evades him every day. Then we recently acquired, or they acquired, Ruby. I'm going to pronounce this one. Ruby.
Erwin.
There you go, Erwin. It's not written like that. Ruby grew up in the Towan Highlands. Ruby is a human and a druid, but the Towan Highlands is a good 98% halfling and gnome, full of tartan clans and ward-covered tribes. Ruby has a kinship with nature that not many have managed to master, but she did so with ease. Upon a morning, Ruby decided to head west. She walked across Heroes' Roam, surrounded by creatures of the land and sky. Upon reaching the great ivory wall of Ravenholm, she was simply let through the enormous ivory doors. Ruby befell no harm or obstruction on her walk until she met the party in the material forest of Ravenholm whilst making a herbal tea.
Don't like that implication.
Well, one day I was hanging out with badgers, drinking herbal tea in the forest, and then I met you, and then 3 days later...
Killing a vampire.
Yeah, I had a vampire trying to kill me. Actually, to be fair, I didn't take too many hits in that fight. It was, they were a bit preoccupied by the fact that someone else was in the room.
After a few of you travelled on the Orcan Whale, with its crew of sea druidic dwarves led by Captain Boulderback, it did not take long for you to take advantage of one another's company to get the information and direction you needed. Our yours is a different take advantage of. Fires in Ebendorf were investigated, dark elves and minotaurs were met. Time in the city was comfortable for some, and very uncomfortable for others. Upon leaving the city, the party found its way into the Copper Forest, the fair realm of autumn. It quickly became apparent that the non-fae of Ravenholm were indeed trying to invade, of a sort, the fair realm known as the Copper Forest, led by a knight of death named Ulrich Steinson, a champion of the Red Lady, now revealed as the archfae, the Blooded Hood. The elemental plane of air, has given thanks for the return of its Horn of the Yamar and offered a boon to Kesvion, who will not likely call upon it shortly. A new Landlord has also been chosen. A Jesuit has been replaced in Toodles and has been given the role, and the Forest of Copper is on the edge of having its last fall. The party now journeys deeper into the Copper Forest between the two realms of material and fae, which led us to our last episode, which is, does the DM portrait have infinity stones? Yes. Yes, it
Infinity dice. Power he does not require.
I
Do
am.
not encourage.
I am inevitable.
Also, there's now a command in the chat that's
We saw.
literally Ari to tell me to turn my mic off.
Speak louder, Mel.
Speak louder!
We cannot hear ye.
So the last you all gathered, you were in the forest. You were looking for a way back into the Copper Forest itself, the Fair Realm, to essentially keep pushing forward with this notion of removing Ulrich and stopping this civil war throughout Ravenholm and this attack on the Fair Realm. While you were discussing such plans, Kesvion called upon his merchant skills and returned to Lyric to acquire 2 horses.
I'm going to discontinue your dice subscriptions.
Merchant skills were enacted and 2 horses died in the process. But Kesvion did discover that the people of Lyric and those of the House of Lilies seem to hide a different appearance to what most see them in. All back together, trying to pierce the veil of the Fair Realm, you witnessed a bit of a last stand from, or a semi-last stand from Old Oak, as he barreled out of the realm itself into the material realm to finish 2 of the Knights of the Hooded Wolf. You did not let Old Oak die, which, you know, I was a bit touch and go for a moment. And you brought him round. The knife that the Hooded Wolf, Knights had, was a small wooden-handled simple blade with a rusty edge, which Ari used to cut a larger portal back into the fair realm of the Forest of Copper. Excuse me. Old Oak said his goodbyes and good lucks and has gone looking for Toodles. You five, with a nod, headed your way, following the Lance Lord, aka Zandria Summerbreeze, the Warlock of Whispers. 3, 2, 1. You're in a forest of copper. Oh, and Kestrion got a two-handed false shield that he can't wait to swing.
Oh yeah, that's totally gonna not stay on my back the entire campaign until the point I forget I have it. Not in the slightest.
I beg to differ.
You're like, no, you will use it. They have to tie it to your hand. I believe that when we left off, the Old Oak was sitting, definitely having a nap and not going off to die in the woods like an injured animal.
Yep.
Our honest gov, and we were just kind of marching off after
Following Lance.
Rhea.
Yep.
Yeah, as
Because
her spidey
I-
senses took her.
My spidey senses were tingling and were telling me the direction we needed to go.
Yeah.
So that is the direction we are going.
So as you were walking along, what you do notice immediately is, more so, Ruby spots it reflexively, the rest of you kind of, after a short while, maybe Kess and Zandria quicker than the rest as well, is that there seems to be a bleed over of material and fair realm, to the point where you can now judge time. Whereas the last time you was in the Copper Forest, it was just as and when. But you do feel there is a structured passing of time as you are travelling through what you can see as the Copper Forest. The bark is not the shiny copper that you're used to, and you can see off into the thickness of the trees in all directions the enormous pillars of blood that you saw before when they came spiking into the realm. And they are spiked into the ground, and they are, you know, about 100, maybe 150 feet in all directions. You can see them through the gaps and recognise them for what they are. Taking a peek, you can see blood pumping down bloodied veins down the pillars into the ground, and even from here you can see a darker shade on the ground around them. Between the lot of you, you probably hit double figures intelligence, but you work out that, you know, there is a bleeding effect going on from these pillars into the forest floor itself. Can you all give me perception checks, please?
Not too bad a start to the new year, and perception.
18. I will not declare the dice Luke gave me for Christmas cursed yet.
Sapphire?
You're
Same.
very welcome.
What did you get, Sapphire?
19.
I rolled an 18. I'm just waiting to see my thing.
Jesus. Guess Phil?
Perception. Plus 5.
23.
23 too. Yeah, I got 23.
23,
as well.
23, 18, 18, and 19's on you?
Nice.
So you all, probably a bit more on edge during current scenario, you start to see between the roots of the copper trees that the roots themselves are not as deep as you'd expect. They seem to be more surface. More of them is on display. Ruby, this is more... It's as if they're very old and the ground beneath them's fallen away, rather than they've moved, if that makes sense. But if you, at first glance, and you all look around, the ground doesn't look that old. In between some of the roots, you see these thick, chunky veins, and what you notice is they're not pumping in, they're pumping out, as if they're draining the very essence of the copper forest.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that dispel magic's probably not enough to.
Give me an Arcana check.
Can you imagine if that sorted it all though? Oh, what it's
That would
like
be
to have a
amazing.
spellcaster back in the party.
Showing it next week for campaign 2.
19.
19. You reckon if you were to cast Dispel Magic in this localised area, it'd probably slow down the pumping effect for a short time, but it wouldn't.
It's just not powerful enough to put
Yeah.
a dent in it. Yeah, thought so. Well, we always start with the most obvious ones and then get weirder from there.
Zandria just hits it with a lance.
I was gonna say, I was
It's like
wondering
it's
if
like
I
it's a whittling knife, and it's just
Hellish rebuke! Hellish rebuke!
I was legit about to say, can I just like hit
That's
it until
exactly
it
what I was gonna
breaks?
do.
I was
These-
just
Same? Like,
These veins are intermingled with the roots.
Oh, okay.
So you could hit them, but it would be that it's a lot of veins that run back in the directions of these pillars. And the forest is vast. You see no edge to it.
Okay, fair.
Do we see any big nasties, any big baddens around the pillars like we encountered when the one...
On your perception
Rocked.
checks, you do not see. There are a couple of these pillars in your coned vision.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be anything about them, but what you do notice looking around to check for said lumbering hulks is there are shapes in the forest that seem to be more humanoid and your lot size, and they seem to be, and they're distant, but you can see them
Yeah.
having keen eyes, keen elven eyes, tell you, and they're all heading to Isengard. But yeah,
I know that's...
so nothing's looking your way, but there is things out there that are of a humanoid shape. They seem to be moving around in 3s and 4s and moving out further into the forest. I mean, this is the scene I'm trying to describe is massive.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
You
as
just-
far as the
yeah,
eye can see as
Exactly,
opposed to...
and you've all got really good perception.
No end though. We're an all wisdom party. You
yeah.
Hey. Some of us
Apart
have got
from
low
Ari.
wisdom and some in, okay?
Um,
Zero
do-
to wisdom is great in wisdom checks, guys.
The pillar, does that have the same kind of engravings on it as...
From this distance, you can't see. You just recognise the shapes, and because they're so big, you can see enough detail to recognise them.
Okay, I
as
wasn't sure
yeah.
how close we were.
100,
or
150
how
feet. Yeah.
big the stuff on them was, if it was like quite intricate or if it was like a foot per glyph kind of thing.
The intricacies on there are blurred at this distance.
Okay, cool.
So
I
is
figure
now a
out
good time to say that I have passed without trace prepared.
it's an amazing.
That is a great time to say that you have passed without trace.
If anything, this is the time.
Yeah.
Ariel kind of like take a look at the pillar and just be like, I don't think there's gonna see much.
I think it might be worth a closer look though. See if there's any differences, anything that Sapphire can add to his notes.
infinite notes.
Yeah.
Well, you took that sketch of the first circle when...
Yep, he did. He took a long time sketching that. But yeah, I need to write one note down that I actually have that.
Jesus Christ, Sean.
It's been a while. I've done another D&D game since then. I drew an owlbear baby.
That's good. Nothing. That won't help you now.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know I could draw.
Ruby's interested in owlbear babies.
He will not. No, yeah, he's not going to think that much ahead. He's kind of horrified by what he's seeing.
But I Kess has literally said those words in
Okay,
out loud from his face. So
can we get it all close to one of the pillars?
we should
Without being
hopefully be able to sneak up a little bit, but there looks like there's kind of like loosely gesture around to where there seems to be like other humanoid shaped peoples
What?
bimbling around.
It lasts for an hour, so it might be a good time anyway.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yep.
So you're gonna try and
do the
sneak
thing.
up on the closest pillar, yeah?
Well, for now, I'm just going to cast Pass Without Trace, which is For the duration, 1 hour, each creature you choose within 30 feet of you, including you, has a +10 bonus to dexterity or stealth checks and cannot be tracked except by magical means. A creature that receives this bonus leaves behind no tracks or other traces of its passage. So I'ma just cast that on us anyway, and whether we just really don't want to be seen by the roaming nasties or whether we want to try to get closer to a pillar.
Sounds
Yep.
good. Because
All
after we
of the
get close to
above.
the pillar, we're probably going to... I mean, we're going to check it
Probably even
out,
nasty.
take some notes,
Yeah.
and then fuck off anyway, I imagine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd like to stealth up to a... I mean, I'd like to stealth up to a
Yeah.
pillar.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
want to speak
no,
for
I'm-
everyone. It's like, let's all go. Yeah, we'll sneak
Ari.
up to a pillar.
Can we see Ari's stealth with a +10 bonus?
But it depends what
Ari
Ari rolls.
turn invisible.
Depends what I roll.
So
Yeah,
all roll a
when I roll,
stealth check.
kids.
Are you all going? Are you all going over?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just rolled a 19. Oh my gosh.
No,
So,
I disappear in the flipping.
So you're at 29 already.
I've got 26 already, so it's
So
you on a +7 as well?
You want a +7? And you're 36. Jesus.
So I got a 35. As I rolled an 18 and also have a +7 to stealth.
All right. So you're at a collective 70 already.
Yeah.
71.
14, 16, 26.
Jesus.
27.
Which, given that I'm
Jesus.
normally like stamping around
30.
in a pair of massive farm boots going, all right, my love, that's not too bad.
Right. So you all disappear. Into like you stealth so hard we've lost you. So we need new characters. That's like 120. Yeah. So you are all very, very confident that your hard skills and Ruby's druidic touch has rendered you all silent. Like there are wizards that struggle to cast mute this powerful. And you were all very quiet. And you're making your way to the nearest blood pillar?
Yeah. How could that possibly go wrong?
Cool. So,
Well, allow me to tell you.
you make your way, and as what you realise from the last time is when you were in the Forest of Copper before, when it was fully autumn, that the leaves were soft and crunchy in both equal measure of when you came to nice ground and new leaves falling from trees and such. You notice now that everything's dry and the actual life has gone from the leaves, that they are just real brittle. And when you're walking along as quiet and stealth-like as you are, you notice that they're just disintegrating beneath your boots and paws and bare feet and such. Thank you, my beautiful. And you head towards the bloodied pillar. Pouring along, I would say probably Jeremiah starts nudging you, Ruby. Very nervous, very jittery, very, very close to your skin rather than running around the thickness of your locks. And the sound effects of food being made in the background is totally ambient.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah seems to be pulling you and nudging you in directions to look, and as you look, you notice it first that there are small creatures in the undergrowth that at first glance you'll see a beautiful like dragonfly wing beneath some of the leaves, rainbow, translucent, but then as it comes out you see that it is a mutation of sorts. There are bloody boils on it, and it does indeed would have looked like a small dragonfly pixie type creature, but instead its limbs have been boiled with this blood, these blood blisters and such across it. And you start noticing more and more of these as they sort of drag maybe 6 inches, their wings don't flutter, and then they just remain still and don't seem to move.
Nearly ruining this entire silence we have going on with, but holding back the exclamation. Ruby actually steps closer to them and kneels down to look at them closer.
Okay. As you look really close, you can see that they are their wings are indeed of a dragonfly. Sounds a bit of a weird word, but they are of a dragonfly appearance, and they do have that translucent rainbow dust, and they're very strong and they're very real and untouched. But the body of the creature that's hosting these wings is humanoid shape, ears similar to Kesvion and Xandria's. They are about maybe 4 or 5 inches long, these small humanoid creatures with these dragonfly wings. But it looks, best thing to describe it is it looks like they're plagued with these blood blisters. They don't look part of them naturally, they look like they are ill. But from your, give me a medicine check.
Oof. 8.
8. You're a little bit unsure of. They look lifeless in front of you as you see them just take a couple of inches as they crawl. They're unable to use their wings to fly, but they look lifeless. You might be able to help them, but they do look lifeless. And there's as you look around, you just see the odd 1 or 2. You do notice one of them tries its wings, and there's a very, very small, like a LED losing its power, sort of tinge to the wing as it then fades and doesn't move anymore. As Ruby is seeing these, you four then start to see where her focus is and notice these creatures. Kess and Xandria are very aware that they're just pixies, or what humans and other races commonly call fairies. They're just also some of the most deadliest little bastards.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't take
They
on a
bite.
swarm of them, that's for sure.
Sapphire starts walking really, almost like comical, but he's up on the tips, like up on his toes as much as he can so he can get around them. He doesn't want to disrespect anyone, accidentally treading on them. As, as dexterous as a 6'6" lion can be.
When they're a monk, hopefully at least a little bit.
Xandria,
Is it kind of safe to say that they can probably put like 2 and 2 together, that it's the pillars that are causing
100%.
100%?
You are
Cool.
fully aware that fairies, pixies, that sort of name that's tagged on these particular fair creatures. They are all, no matter autumn, winter, summer, spring, they're always vibrant, energetic. Their wings flap so fast, some folk can't even see them, and they're lit. Their energy is not there. And these blood blisters, you can see that they're just not. They're not fair. That's not a fair element to their being. Xandria, what you notice is you feel wetness on your cheek, and what you don't actually realise is you have very, very slow tears running down your cheeks, but you don't feel like you're crying. You pick the lance. Don't look at me with that face.
Ah, give me emotion! Ew. Take it back.
It's part of the stat block, alright? It's part of the stat block.
How
You beat me
dare
to it,
you.
but Ruby is also starting to cry, but she's well aware of it.
Yeah, you put role-play in that role-playing game.
Why are you putting emotions in my role-playing game?
Oh, I had to use a lammy to do it. I mean, come on. Both Sandra and Kesfion, you are aware that these pixies and fairies and such generally are in number. They don't fly around on their own. They're usually quite swarms a bit strong, but there's usually quite a lot of them.
I am just like wiping away the tears, just kind of like stoic face, just.
Didn't know it was raining in here. They got something on me. And you do you carry on? Do you stop? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just standing watching. So.
Yeah, you kind of like rest a hand on Xandria's shoulder. Just go up to the pillar.
We need to be careful around this. We can't risk meeting a similar fate.
So as you make your way closer to the pillar, now you've seen them, you notice that some of the leaves now are actually just covering some of where they've fallen, and you now get to see where this collection of fairies and pixies would have, I say called home, but probably hung out quite a lot. You're about 50 feet from the pillar, and you kind of all crouch, keep yourselves quiet, and you know, with your supernatural bloody perceptions and stealth, you notice that the humanoid people you were seeing pottering around are more knights of the Hooded Wolf. Some of them are a bit shorter than the humanoids, and they're still in their robes, but they are maybe waist height on a lot of. You see maybe 10 of these in your local, like your immediate. They're a distance, so you know. As long as you remain quiet, even if they were looking straight at you, they still have to have damn good eyesight to spot you. All at the base of the blood pillar, as you're getting towards it, you see now that this blood pillar reaches about 25 feet up, and that the intricacies of the glyphs are now quite a lot more visible. The like small print detail, as it were, you'd have to be pretty close. But from this distance you can see the glyph shapes and inscribings similar to the one that you fought the blood giant from. But at the base of this pillar you see a lot more very, very slow moving bodies of something. If I can give me perception checks.
18.
So
22.
Yeah, 22.
Cool. Basically, you see more fae of the Copper Forest. You see small cat-like creatures with vibrant blue fur and orange and reds to their tails, but again covered in these blood blisters. You even see a couple of redcaps, the little sturdy, bearded, some not bearded, wearing their bloody caps, which you'd think they probably enjoy this sort of environment, but their iron boots are just kind of fixed to the floor and they're slumped over, again with blood blisters. And you can see these fair creatures of the Copper Forest all in this diseased state, what appear to be on their last few breaths at the foot of this bloodied pillar. And the ground around it is an absolute, like, living mass of veins. And again you notice that they are sucking in the direction of a pulsing in the veins is to the pillar rather than out from it.
Is it all kind of interlocked with the tree roots, etc.?
All the roots, the ground and the veins are all intertwined. And from here to the base of the pillar is a very thick, spongy, like congealed, bloodied floor. And you're 50 foot away from it.
Alright, I'll kind of take a look at it and just be like, we can't do anything without injuring the forest further.
Or using the forest to pull itself apart.
Unless they're somehow draining the energies from the forest to use for something else. Is the energy being stored in these pillars? Are they going to take them back? Like, Sapphire sounds quite distressed. He's quite upset by this. Normally he keeps his emotions quite under check, but this is...
These pillars are about 20 feet wide as well. So what's sticking out of the ground is 25 foot up. And they've got that weird wooden stake shape to them. So it's not a clean spike. It's a, roughly hewn spike that they've managed to magically launch into the realm and into its
Just
grounds.
like the other one was, where it came in and then, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Kind of looks towards the Fae siblings and like, is there anything we can do?
With how entangled this is, apart from sitting here and trying to pull it apart, but as mentioned, we'd probably do more damage to the forest.
And the
we
amount of
don't want-
time.
Yeah, it's time we don't have, and we don't want to speed the process along of the forest dying. We need to try and preserve what we can.
We find
We're
the
wasting our
person-
time here.
We find the person that cast the spell.
And we don't leave a single shred of them left.
Give the man a biscuit.
We need to move along.
You moving on?
Is it the same kind of? Is it the same kind of pattern of like the big circle around it and
It
stuff?
is. It is.
Okay. Sapphire, have a quick look over it and see if there's anything different to the sketch you took earlier.
Give me a perception check.
Yes, 15. No, 16.
16.
Yeah.
There is a familiarity to the glyph design. That is. Give me a history check.
Oh no.
Just give me a wisdom. Just give me a wisdom check.
Oh, wisdom on there.
Yeah, just give me a wisdom check.
23.
23. Jesus.
Not 23. No, 21. I'm looking at the wrong
Oh,
stat.
you did a save.
Still over 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Still,
yeah,
still
I was
pretty
looking at this save.
Okay.
You remember all things.
I like that a lot better than intelligence.
Your perception check, you recognise the design of the glyph, but something evades your memory. Whereas your wisdom check, you reach down to your echo stone, and for the first time, you notice there are etchings on this smooth stone. Very, very similar to the design of the glyphs around this blood pillar.
Stealing my ruddy echoes from a forest. Murder you.
He will quietly note that and not point it out to a single person yet. Okay. Very interesting. Oh, shit. All right, cool.
Just doing my job, man.
Sapphire kind of turns to the rest of the party and gives kind of like a, yeah, good to go kind of thing. He's like, he nods and he puts his sketchbook back away.
And you all head away in the direction that Xandria feels the pull. So for the next hour, as you are taking advantage of the pass without trace, you unfortunately witness more scenes similar to what you've just left. Creatures of the forest in a last breath state, the last fall of autumn freshly upon their faces, unfortunately covered or afflicted by this blood disease, these blood blisters. As the hour passes, it's quite noisy in the forest. You can hear the calls of these hooded wolf knights of Ravenholm calling to one another. There's one over here, follow me, come to me, on me. There's a system that they're going around, and it seems that they are searching out those that are probably resilient to the disease and helping them on their way. You do, remaining stealthily, see such scenes as some Fae trying to get away and not making it, and other creatures, whether by flight or foot or sheer Fae powers that they possess, do indeed escape the clutches of the Knights of the Hooded Wolf. Then there is a go on.
No, it is unclear at this point whether Ruby is going to cry herself into dehydration, throw up, or start stabbing people.
Harry's very definitely got his rapier out. His hand is like clutched so tightly around it, going, I can't do anything about this.
You have your rapier out.
Yeah.
Of the 9 gemstones, one of the yellowed sunstones, the golden colouring to them, is just a dull stone. But one of them is throbbing with light. Very small light, not enough to be like, hey, look at me, screw you, 30 stealth. But it's eye-catching enough for yourself, but nobody else sees the light.
Okay.
Do you react to it in any way, shape or form?
He will probably react to it when they have a short rest. If they have a short rest.
I swear to God, when you said, "Oh, you've got your rapier out," I was like, I swear to God, if an extra fucking video appears suddenly.
What you don't want right now is tails, trust me.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, the last fucking thing we need is tails showing up.
Stealth 200, they're over here.
Oh, well, this is a boring fight. Let's attack more of them, shall we?
By the way, I'm a vision.
As much as we love him, no.
So moving along, your hour's nearly up. You've got about 10 minutes before. Ruby, you're aware of when the druidic magic will fade. You've got about 10 minutes. You have gone deeper into the forest. The copper is less present and less shiny. You can see strange crossovers of where Fae and Material Realm meet, and you get that copper bark meets the dark greens and like rustic colours of the Material Realm forest. You see some of the clear as day Material Realm trees in a cluster of copper, where there is a very obvious shifting of the realms and Vale. But you also see the destruction that these blood pillars are doing, and you pass more of these blood pillars, and as I say, the forest is endless. Xandri and Kesrin are fully aware of how vast the Fae realm can be or not be on the whims of its archfey. The veins are forever present now. There isn't any patch that you can see that doesn't have these bloody veins running under the roots. Again, to Ruby's keen druidic eyes, followed by the rest of you, just the fact that you've high perceptions. But you notice that the ground around some of the trees does look like it is coming away as if it would over time. But it is definitely a force. The tree roots look fresh. So the ground shouldn't be as aged as it appears to be. Then ahead of you, you can hear movement, a bit of not necessarily a commotion, but there is a number of noises coming from, well, people that sound like Harry, similar accent and stuff, and you can hear them ahead over a large heaped like mound of soil where a couple of shorter trees and shrubbery is, and on the other side of that you are aware that there are people. You hear young voices, old voices, very young voices, a little bit inaudible of what words they're using, but there is a element of age between all of them, with an accent similar to Harry's, and you are all very well hidden.
Cast Shillelagh.
Is either of them a concentration? Shillelagh or Pass Without Trace?
Shillelagh is a cantrip.
Alright, you're fine.
Yeah.
So, you notice Ruby with her shepherd's crook, just running her hand over it, and you see the greens and whites and blues of the druidic magic take hold and sort of cover the crook.
Ariel kind of hold up a hand, like, kind of stay there a sec, and kind of try and sneak forward to see if you can get a better view of what's going on ahead.
try and sneak forward and says, how many hundreds of stealth did you roll?
You
Look, I'm not used to having a sneaky character. Like, my other character had to roll disadvantage on stealth, okay?
stealth 50. What are you doing next? I shall put on my plate armor. So you make yourself the way to the edge of the mound, assuming the rest of you, don't just dive out. And as you look over, you can see familiar buildings, that of Ravenholm, the architecture, and you see what looks like as if the front end of a village has just been cut off and placed in this coppery, like forest glade area. The people you see around there are just villagers, young, old, some with children, others, using sticks to walk around. It's as if this snapshot of this hamlet has just been taken and plonked in the forest. They look confused, they look scared, and they're all trying to keep together and just sort of huddling near these two buildings that seem to have come with them. The buildings do look old, but not as old as the rest of Ravenholm. It's a hamlet, so it's probably had a fair amount of repairs and stuff done to them, but they are definitely of a Ravenholm-esque feel. And they're all just sort of looking around bewildered, keeping the children, some of the children a bit braver than others, some crying in parents' or adults' arms, some of them a little bit adventurous and wanting to get out there because there's cool stuff. See about 12 to 15 just pottering in and out of these two buildings that appear to be homes rather than any other useful building of a hamlet.
So it looks like just part of a hamlet is essentially
Snapshot, bang.
phased.
Yeah, exactly that.
We'll stall.
Is both just away.
Ruby lets the magic drain out of the shillelagh.
Is it worth trying to get them back to the rest of their hamlet? It won't be safe for them to remain in here.
No, fuck them.
These people didn't do this.
Oh no, sorry, that was me, our character.
It's like that.
I'm sorry, it was just a very
it was-
clear
it was,
response.
Andrea, the Lancelot.
It was close. It was close. Hellish rebuke.
Jade versus Andrea.
What a game. Excuse me, camera. Hello, camera.
It's going, no, I don't want to know you now.
There we
There
go.
you go.
There we go. Rude.
I suppose we could.
It's possibly best if Ari leads that then, even if Xandria leads the walkthrough. He's more of a
How did
familiar
the buildings
face.
get here?
So
It doesn't particularly matter now, but I'm sure it's whatever's merging the Copper Forest with the rest of Ravenholm.
Oh, yeah.
This is just the bit that fell through.
Yeah. I will sheathe his sword and step out. And kind of approach the group.
We'll follow, but a couple of feet behind Ari. So
Oh look,
5,
one
10
of
foot.
ours. Oh shit, one of them.
Well, just so it doesn't look like we're waiting to ambush them around the side of the hill is what I'm thinking. Though he will still have like a proper face like thunder from basically the corpses of his people that he's
All of
had to
this.
walk through for the last hour. So probably not
Image.
the welcoming committee. is
Not
going
really,
for.
no, we're not the welcoming committee.
There
Well,
is
Xandria would be worse, arguably.
there is an immediate standoffishness as Ari steps out, and a bit of a heartbeat passes in recognition of a very well dressed person of Ravenholm. The hilt of a eagle upon their sword and such, and they step out. Oh yeah, you might have your sash off. And there's no one steps forward. Everyone looks around. There doesn't seem to be any elder or anything of this hamlet. Doesn't seem to be any hierarchy. These people just look very lost and afraid, and even the adventurous kids who second guess and step back, just seeing Ari now with Kess. Who else stepped out?
Ruby.
Ruby, Zandria. Did you step out, Sapphire?
Yeah, he probably would have, but he's not, like, he's dealt with these kind of things before, so he's going to step out with his hands up.
Yeah.
He knows how he appears to other people already.
So, on seeing Zandria and Kess, Ari, you see it straight away. Like, it's every day for yourself growing up. The fear of Fae is very present in this hamlet, in these hamlet people. The children look at Sapphire in awe. The adults and older kind of just keep an eye on you, waiting for you to explain the situation, whilst eyes darting from Kess and Zandria. The long ears are very...
Ariel kind of look around the group and address kind of the group as a whole, and just be very much like, I'm also a Ravenholm. I have come to the Copper Forest with my party. Why are you here?
As they're all looking around, you see a middle-aged woman step forward. She's like, they've all got that grubby look, like they work the fields most days, or you know, they live off the immediate day by day rather than some of the luxuries that Ravenholm offers. And she steps forward, and she's got a very similar hairstyle to Ruby. It's very tangled and bits of dreadlock here and there, and like she spends a lot of like backwards through a bush. There's always the moment where you look at Ruby and be like, "Do you know her?" But, and she just sort of pushes past the people. She's got a bit more confidence about her as she steps forward. Hello, don't mind this lot. We don't know how we got here. Oh, sorry. And she does a almost like curtsy to you, Harry. I'm Agrippini. Feet first, this lot call me. But yeah, welcome to wherever you say the Copper Forest. Well, we don't really know what's going on. We've only been here about 10 minutes, if that. It's all very strange. This lot of scared. Stop staring. And she sort of nudges some of the kids and some of the adults.
Sapphire's like dropped one of his hands and he's just kind of gently waving his other hand.
Oh, hello. You're bigger than the last ones we saw. Hello, I'm Agrippini. You can call me Feet first. It's up to you. And there's a little bit of a laugh from some of the kids. She looks older than she's portraying. We can. You want to come and sit, or just don't hurt us?
We're not here to hurt you. We're here to try and help you.
Good luck with that. And she sort of looks around.
Whereabouts are you from?
Just a small village north of. Give me a moment.
Guess
I do believe I've forgotten where we live.
The magical travel has scrambled my brain so.
I have
Fantasy jet lag.
amnesia.
Are you finished?
Fantasy amnesia.
Don't
Just-
piss off the DM because he takes it out on me.
Well, if you can't merchant, that's not my fault, is it? Eh?
Takes it out on whatever you happen to be riding at the time.
Wow, Harry, calm yourself. So,
That's the wrong sibling. I think
I think we're on sibling.
from a small
Let's.
village, north of
Short
Torberg.
rest.
North of Torberg.
Whereabouts was it? Sorry, too busy thinking.
Quoting all over the place. They quote the
But what
shit.
pads fall?
North of Torberg, a village north of Torberg. Now, Ari, you immediately know the name Torberg because it is the border town of the House of Eagles that borders the House of Lilies and the House of Eagles. So the village they speak of could be either, and with it being a hamlet, probably they don't care. but are very polite to nobles anyway. But you have the map, and you should be able to see it.
I can, yeah. I can. It just took me a while to find out. Where is it?
I
see
know
it.
your pen.
While they've been whispering or talking that, Kess will kind of have sort of leaned towards Xandria. Are you able to tell if you're choking and dying? Hello?
Well, the coffee went sort of like...
You breathed it.
Almost
Cool.
like the wrong... Yeah.
Are you able to tell if any of the veils thinner here? Can we use the lance to put them back where they're supposed to be?
Just let me get my shooting stick out and I will find you an answer.
That is definitely Xandria.
Edie, can I...
Are you gonna?
So,
Have you got a tuning fork?
What, my tuning fork? My tuning fork is the fucking lance.
All right, you're gonna crocodile on the lance.
I literally imagine you tapping it on the ground. And
Give
going,
me an Arcana check. yeah.
Hang on, I need to move my coffee out of my dice tray. That's at the back. What more I'm looking at? Ooh, flat 19. Can't get any higher. Well, it could, but not with any pluses.
It's less that it's. You're not entirely convinced you can put them back, but there is definitely a. Probably not damage, but there is a brokenness to the realm crossings in this area. Or it feels that way. It feels like you're stood in both. You more so than the rest.
So what you're saying is they can't be saved. They can't be put back.
I never said they could be saved, you maniac. That's what you say, DM, I should kill them all.
Down.
It's for their own good, really.
You can't go home, but you can't stay here. Yeah. Righty-ho.
Well, you can stay here, but 6 feet under. So.
No. That entire conversation
Yeah.
goes between the siblings just with their eyes.
Ruby kind of like looks at Xandria weighing this up, maybe eyeing the lance more than she should, and goes, "Put the kettle on, shall I?"
Ruby, you do notice Jeremiah is quite settled in this scenario. Like, Jeremiah is happy to be around these people rather than the last hour.
That's understandable.
I'd be more worried if Jeremiah was chill around the bodies of the dead innocents.
Just chewing on an ear.
You don't know the story.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what he's been through. I will look back at Kesson after I've kind of done a moment of contemplating, and it's not thin in the same way as it is for when we pass through, but it is definitely weaker here. It's like there's two planes overlapping each other, but they're not intermingling in a way that we can just walk between the two, if that makes sense.
So let's lead them out as opposed to open a door.
Pretty much. We need to find somewhere that is a passage that exists rather than staying here and allowing the two to intermingle. I don't think they will feel it quite the same as I do, but it's not something they don't want to be staying here.
Why don't you try and find the best way to take them, and I and maybe one of the others sit them down and try to, without scaring the life out of them,
There's
explain and
The problem we're going to
Do's
run
and
into
don'ts.
is if we are going to take them from this area and go venturing forth to find a space where we can safely put them back into Ravenholm, that's gonna get us seen for one, and them seen, and I am not convinced that these, whatever they are, warlocks or whoever they are, wandering around killing our family and friends, I don't feel like they will care who it is they're killing at this point. So the question is do we leave them here in hopes that they don't fall victim to the war that's raging on here? Or do we take a chance and take them with us in hopes of getting them out?
We can't leave them here.
So we risk their lives and our lives to get
We
them
were
out.
risking our lives anyway, and their lives are forfeit if they stay. The only way is forward.
That's a fair point, I suppose.
We can give them the benefit of the doubt and assume for a minute that they're not idiots, and that if we explain how dangerous this is, that they will
Well,
at least try
hopefully.
and act accordingly.
Hopefully
As soon
that's
as
what
Ruby
Ari's
says-
doing, because I'm presuming this is all going on slightly behind
Standard.
where
Yeah.
Ari's currently holding a conversation.
Yep.
In
As soon as
parallel.
Ruby says, you know, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt of them not being idiots, I'm just kind of going to look at her and go, they're human.
Because you lot are the epitome of not
None
idiots.
taken. None taken.
So what's the plan?
Well, we need to find out what our dashing rogue bard has said to Feet first. If he's now been married into the family or what?
Father.
Oh no, no, no,
Daddy.
no, no.
17
No, no,
children
no, no, no,
from all different flavours of Ravenholm come out.
no.
All the same age. Good night, Harry. Good night.
Oh, Lord.
So what's the plan, Harry? In the
Um,
middle of them being teleported to a fair realm, you're going to chat up one of the villagers. don't worry about that.
He will kind of address Feet first and say to it, you said there was others that have been along before. Few other people here.
Just like him, and points across the sapphire. Maybe about 6 of them. They sold wine. They just passed through the town about a month ago. They were heading south into the house of the Eagles, and she's nodding at your rapier hilt.
When you say like me, do you mean as big as me? Or they
No, they had a twang on their accent, and they were dressed more colourful but similar to them two. And nods across to Kess and Xander.
Okay.
And they were not as bright as you in their fur. They were darker oranges and blacks and browns and such.
Okay.
They were very friendly. They let us sample some of the wine. It was very, very, very potent, but it was nice. But yeah, they had quite a lot of it. They'd come from up north somewhere.
I look to Sapphire, and Sapphire's just kind of looking like Sean is right now, trying to continue the conversation.
Harry, I will,
Sapphire's, but yeah, because Sapphire's like he visibly kind of relaxes a bit when they confirm that it's not like him. So yeah,
the northern coast, Harry, is well known for its vineyards. In both the House of the Red Lady and the House of Lilies, it's just for some reason great area to have a vineyard.
If time has elapsed, then Kess will kind of step forward and sort of whisper to Ari they'll need to pick up whatever they can carry with them, and we'll see if we can head them out of here.
Why? Agrippini says to Kess as he's whispering to Harry.
Because you can't stay here. And you won't get out alone.
Where are we?
Ruby sort of scoops feet first away from the children.
Agrippini follows, just sort of like, okay. Sapphire, you notice a couple of the kids kind of just stood really close to you, just staring.
And yeah, Ruby kind of gives him a...
Sapphire will kind of
Eat them.
kind of lead them away, and he does this weird, like, he goes down on all fours and kind of gallops a little bit to kind of draw them over and just kind of be silly, and he'll stop. And he'll look a lot like a cat.
Starstruckness in their eyes as you just start catting about there, like, whoa, this is better than, this is way better than Santa. and the children are successfully distracted. Agrippina and Ruby, you are away from the children.
Is Ruby taking her like off to the side alone?
Basically, just sort of like, so you guys are all still within conversational distance, but I'm just definitely from the children, because I'm not trying to cause a mass panic is what I'm trying to do.
Well,
Okay.
Ariel kind of lean in close and just be like, you know the stories we heard as children about the Fey Realms and not going in the forest and
Are you
not going off the path.
Saying this to Agrippina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Fey
in the
realm.
forest.
Real realm.
No.
They're not.
I mean...
Kess
You
just
see-
blinks at
you
her,
see the,
completely stone faced, like...
You see the copper piece start to drop. You know what I mean? Well, shit.
That war that was started
War?
with the Fae.
I don't know about any war.
You might not be, but the people in charge of you, they decided they wanted one, and now it's come down on everybody's heads.
That's stupid.
You're not
What do you
wrong.
think? But yeah, we'll
You'll-
try and get you guys out, so if you can get everyone to start kind of packing things up.
Kess, Ruby, Ari, give me a insight check.
Turns out she's Little Red Riding Hood. Roll initiative.
Sorry. Feet first. What's the date?
Agrippina. But, the date, she tells you. Because I don't track that shit.
Does she give me a year?
She does.
Is it this year?
It is accurate, yeah.
And the day and month?
It is as accurate as you would believe it to be.
Right. Just
It's-
sorry. Just check in, because
Oh, yeah,
time
that's
can be a
really
bit funny with the
small,
Fey
tiny
realms
hamlet,
and.
it's not
It is the 9th month of the year. 10th
Right.
month.
Okay. Just
Is the 10th month of the year.
if
The-
I've sort of confused her there, I go, look, sorry, I just had to check, because sometimes the time can be a bit funny in the Fey realms, and I just wanted to check you hadn't been stuck here 100 years or something and think it's 10 minutes, but you're all right. You're fine. Promise.
Are we really in the fair realm?
And it's
I mean, I know it was... I just expected it to be different, I suppose.
it should be. Be quiet and listen.
Insight was a dirty 20.
Mine was 19.
I like that, Ruby. Be quiet and listen.
She is lying about not knowing there is a war. But she is lying in a way protectively.
I feel like
Okay.
Ari would understand
I've
that.
lost insight +3. I only got like an 11, so
You are not aware she is lying, but Kess and Ari are aware she is lying.
Protectively how? Sorry, Luke's being a bit
If your siblings stole a cookie and mother or father grabbed hold of you and like, you know, saying you're like, no, they didn't steal a cookie.
you clearly never met me and my sibling. But sure.
Not your sibling.
Kess, yes.
our sibling.
Luke, no.
Our sibling. As if Sandry had stealthily. I'm taking the cookie. Alice, you go.
I will thank you for the cookie.
It comes across as if she's lying for another rather than herself.
Can we hear, at whatever distance, the screams and the stabbings and the to you of the guards?
The chuckle genocide. You can indeed hear that there is still there's still work to be done, as it was from the Knights of the Hooded Wolf, but they're not close. You reckon you are?
Nevertheless, I point that distant sound out to her.
You now know she doesn't act as shocked as you probably expected, and probably gives away a bit too much in that moment of, oh yeah. Like she does a real bad job of performing that she's not heard that noise yet.
Well, Ruby doesn't care because there are children here, and that is, you don't want children in a genocide. You don't want genocides anywhere, but you especially don't want children involved. So Ruby gives her a very much, anyone who could be armed should be armed, but the children in the middle, do as we tell you. We're moving out.
And she curtsies again to Harry. Can I show you something first?
Of course.
By yourself.
Harry, be careful.
Oh,
She's lying.
I know.
And he's going to say that and look dead in the eye.
He's going to say that to her. He's like,
She looks at Harry. I'll show you. I'll show you why I'm lying. And she sort of like makes her way over to the building on the left, one of the homes.
oh no, because the buildings came as well, didn't they? Oh no.
As you walk through the door, she turns and closes the door behind you, and then she just sort of nods towards where clearly like the whole building didn't come with them in this weird whatever snapshot, but the back of the house is walled off by like a mound of earth and such, and like copper trees going off, but laid on a bed cot in a white robe with the hooded wolf symbology on the tabard is a young boy, and he's got muck and stuff on his face and a bit of blood, and he's kind of not necessarily in a fever, but he's taken a bit of a whooping, and he's laid there, and his darker hair is kind of across his face.
You're the worst. You're the worst.
You know it's Mel every time.
What? I'm just doing
And
my
it's
job.
the one you saved from the fire at the start.
Just doing my job, alright?
Say, everything comes back round.
I got kids to feed, man. You know?
And did they stain themselves on Mel's tears?
Yes.
The ginger one, yes.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
My life.
We found him running. He was running away. He was very upset. So we gave him a place to lay. He's very young and already seen battle. Right? Can't even comprehend any of the little ones outside holding a sword.
Look at that, Ariel kind of. You might recognise that.
You as
To have a look.
Harry just pulls the hair from Geddon's face, you see
I knew it like 10 minutes ago, it's fine.
You see the young boy you helped from the small village in the battle with the purple worms, the creatures of the night, even stood there as he was impaled by a wyvern tail sting as you ran to your
children.
as you ran to your ship and sailed away. But laid on the bed in front of you is Geddon in Knight of the Hooded Wolf garb, or at least for his size. And he looks. You can see the discoloration under his eyes, the grub and dirt on his cheeks,
He kind of,
and he's
drops to his knees and is he like conscious? And
sort of. He's kind of in and out, like.
he'll kind of like put a hand on his cheek and like.
He reacts to the touch, and just a moment, his eyes start to open, and he sort of he immediately gets up and starts backing off into like against the wall, as he's sort of freaking out of where he is. What?
It's okay.
What?
These people have taken
Where and Agrippina straight away, she's over sitting on the bed, and he sort of cuddles into her and she's stroking his hair, and he's not crying, but he's definitely in a bit of a state. It's alright, Gedden, it's alright. This is... Who is it? I don't actually know your name.
And kind of like he'll duck his head down to get in and be like, it's Harry, do you want to come in?
Gedden looks at you, and there's a moment passes, and then he reaches down to his hip and pulls the dagger that you gave him. Harry. And stabs you in the eye.
Well, that makes my job a lot easier.
Same.
Turns out he's an assassin now. Oh, crit bitch. So yeah. And he holds the dagger and he holds it close. Harry. And he just lunges into your arms.
I was going to say...
Not knifily.
Initiative.
Come and
not
know
a
your
knife-
kidneys.
It's not a knifey lunge, it's a hugging lunge.
But
Right?
as he's hugging you, he gets a bit all dizzy like and sort of falls back and sits back on the cot bed. Oh, Harry, it's horrible.
What's happened?
And he's looking at his hands. I mean, he's only about 8 or 9. He's looking at his hands, and he's holding the dagger, holds it tightly, and he stares at his hand and starts to cry and summons the short sword.
Fucking kill him, Jesus.
Sapphire's just playing with the kids. And,
Like Ruby and Cass and probably Xandria are like 2 inches from the door.
Just
Like looking at the wood of the door, waiting for Harry to open it.
If I was in there, he'd be dead. He would have been dead within seconds. Jesus.
And that's why you're not in there.
Yeah, well,
And then
maybe
he-
I should be.
and then he de-summons the sword. And tears are just rolling now.
Who have you been talking to?
When I tried to help you with the dragons, and one of them hurt me, and it was horrible. It was like fire in my belly and stuff, and this huge. It was massive, like a giant. He picked me up, and he turned this. And loads of the knights, and he's looking around as if they're there, looking around. They say they stopped me dying, but they made me promise, and I promised, and I didn't die. But now I've got to help them, and I don't want to help them. But I've run away, and I don't want to go back.
You don't have to help them.
What if they find me? And he's looking down at his tabard now, as if he's just realised he's wearing it.
Take the tabard off.
He does. He takes it off slowly. As he takes it off, you see beneath, he's actually wearing armour. There's a very light chain across his torso, and it reaches down to his waist and shoulders and such. You reckon if he stood up again, the chain would dangle down to his knees. Clearly not, full chain on an 8-year-old, but he's not my kid. But but yeah, he's been armed, as it were, for battle. And there's some bits of leather padding on the shoulders and stuff. It just looks like a mini squire.
And then we're gonna try and help these people get back
You can't fight them, Harry. They're not like the worms and the things in the sky. They don't even stop. They don't care if anybody's nice and asks to be left alone. They just stab them.
You don't have to do what they ask you to do. This lady's been looking after you.
She's kind of just sat there, crossed, like arms folded, just trying to smile.
She's been looking after you, and they need to get back safely to the village, and we're going to try and help them get back. Do you want to go with them?
We should all try to get back. The fairies, and he sort of gets a bit. His eyes go wider. The fairies, they help me get away. They help me get away, but they're hurting him. The fairies are good, Harry. It's not true. It's not true. They don't hurt anyone.
We can get back, but I don't want to tell you what to do. But you don't have to go with them. You can help these people that helped you.
I'll go. I'll go with Agrippina. I'll go with her.
You've still got your dagger. You did good.
He holds it real tight to his chest. I've got my dagger. And he just sort of stares a little bit. And we'll call a break there. So, thank you very much for tuning in for part 1, kids. We're going to have a quick break where we make a cup of tea, maybe go for a quick loo break, and we shall be back in 10 to 15 minutes.
Cry.
We cry, yeah, we shite, yeah. And I don't do impressions.
You said dark hair was on.
Yes.
I was joking, but oh boy, you were
waited.
not.
So long for the but yeah, so please join us. We're going to be about 10-15 minutes. We're going to grab a brew and stuff, and we'll be back. During the break, you will see a little slideshow of just people that have helped us basically and contributed to the channel in some way, shape or form. So if you can find them on Facebook or the internet, just Google them, you'll be able to find them. Lots of things will be updating at the start of this year, so hopefully you will start seeing lots of different things on the break and at the beginning, at the end, and la-di-la-di-la. Right, we shall see you in about 10-15 minutes. Go share this with everyone. We want more people watching us, because yay. Right, how do I go? Break time. There we go, we're on break. Play again. Hello, Tinterweb. Right. Oh, music. Music maestro. Spooky music. That's what it's called. It's called spooky music. Welcome back for part 2. This is session 31. We are playing Fables Among Titans. And this is our homebrew campaign in the world of Colossus. Just before the break, this lot are currently in the Copper Forest, and they are making their way through it under the guide of Xandria Summerbreeze, the Lancelot of Autumn, and the Herald of Summer, apparently. So, just before the break, you found a almost snapshot type scene from a Ravenholm human hamlet that was in this pocket glade of the Copper Forest, talking to the native folk of said village. Ari, you have talked to Agrippina, known to some as Feet First, and you have been taken into one of the 2 buildings that was there, and you found Geddon, the young boy that you first met 30 sessions ago. 30 sessions ago. And you have learnt that he is somewhat of a squire in training of the Knights of the Hooded Wolf, and that, well, he's a big fan of the fairies because they helped him get away. And you have suggested everybody packs up and does one. And we will. What are you lot doing outside?
Watching the door, waiting for Ari to come back out.
And with
Patiently waiting for Ari to start screaming of some description.
Possibly taking bets with Zandria whether the door opens or he starts screaming.
Or both. What are you doing, Ari?
Ari will hold out a hand to get in to like help him off essentially and try and get him on his feet because they do need to be moving.
He gets up without taking your hand, but once he's up, takes your hand. Almost reactively, you see him. Give me an insight check.
Not one.
Yeah, he stands up, doesn't take your hand, then does.
Mel, can you use one of the rerolls? Jeez Louise, woman. You're giving me stress.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
plus
can.
we've got loads. We haven't used them. For
We have
anything.
got 3. I can get a.
A 2.
That's a little bit better than the 22.
22.
Just a little better.
He gets up without your aid, in a structured way, like it's trained. Like you don't need help to stand. But then he realizes, oh shit, Harry's hand, beautiful hand, and then he sort of sinks back into young Geddon.
Yeah, he'll just not let on that he's kind of seen that. Apparently I'm quiet again.
You are, because you're being
State
intense.
of, yeah.
Lord. I get told in chat now.
Nightbot, speak up, we can't hear you.
Yeah, Nightbot told me.
Karen saying my name 3 times.
Don't know who that one.
Alexa!
Don't shout that.
Jesus, what are you doing?
Oh,
You
it's
set
great doing that
everybody
on
off.
stream. It's so good saying that to do something.
Alexa, order me toilet paper.
There is none in stock. So,
Oh yeah, we've got that to go through again.
yep. So
So what are you doing, Ari?
you
Don't know, because we're all talking about stupid things.
You got it. Geddon takes your hand. He puts the knife away. And just sort of straightens himself a little bit. Okay, I'm ready. Agrippina stands. Well, I kept the rest of them together, I suppose, but are you sure it's wise to be traipsing through here? There's quite a lot of shouting going on beyond. We're just hoping whatever brought us here takes us back.
I don't think it will. It's a bit weird. But we're hoping that we can try and get you closer to home and get you away from here. It's not safe to stay here.
Okay. Okay. Just I'll go let them know. And Agrippina leaves, and you lot see Agrippina walk out, and just beyond you see a young lad talking to Ari in chairmail.
Do any of us recognise
Kess,
either
yes.
what they're wearing or
Zandra, you
the child?
are you looking in that way as well?
Mm.
So Zandria is entirely up to you. You don't really care enough to recognise, but it's up to you. Guess you'd probably recognise Keen-Eyed
Oh yeah,
Warrior.
because I, I was the, yeah. Gave children knives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
The one
I
that gave
remember
him
now.
the knife, yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
cool.
You're like, defense. Fucking. We're being attacked! Yeah. Brilliant. But yeah, so
he
you.
was that age when someone gave him a knife and was like, "Hey, got to learn at some point."
You do recognise Geddon. Xandria, it's entirely up to you. Ruby, you just see a young chainmailed lad. It's kind of a. It reminds you of some of the halflings and gnomes back home when they armour up, but you can clearly see this is a human boy.
He'll
But
kind of like.
he doesn't.
frown.
In what way? Because if I've seen
He doesn't have a beard.
the people I've grown up with in armor, it would have been made to fit them, whereas you said this is too big for him.
No, it's not too big for him. It's
like they've set him up as a
Yeah,
squire.
yeah, it's like
So
they've-
he's like a child, a human child, but
the armor fits him,
size wise.
but it isn't the. You're not confident it'd resist a strike as well as an adult's chainmail, or even that you've seen on your clans and tribes fought back home. But it definitely looks the part, but you're not convinced it'd perform.
Ruby takes off her cloak and wraps it around the boy. Try to hide the armor a bit so he looks perhaps a bit more like the other children, because Ruby's clothes are going to be of similar quality to what the villagers are wearing.
As you step in and Geddon sees you, Ari, you've seen that look 1,000 times, where someone is in awe of someone's physical features. And Geddon is blown away, like there is a celestial in his presence.
Straight over Ruby's head.
Yep. And
Cloaks him up, tells him to hide the armor.
he does exactly as he's told. And stands really close to Harry.
Ari, you'll be getting a kind of questioning look from Kest, kind of like.
Sandria's just picking her nose, like, what the fuck?
Kind of nod towards
It's like
her.
it's a child one's here.
Same reason the other children here. Anyway, Agrippina's walking around and gathering, and you can see that there is an element of fuck no and okay.
He'll kind of come out with Gaddin and be like, Agrippina's gathering everybody up to make a move. Do we know where we're going? We do need to try and keep them as safe as possible. Gaddin here will be going with.
So, Xandria, you feel you know if you walked the path before you, you'd reach Ulrich. Whether that be an hour, 10 years, you know that your feet will take you to Ulrich.
Yeah.
So, directionally for getting them out, if they walked with you, they'd walk towards Ulrich, unless you deliberately ignored that path.
For getting them out, short answer, no. We will have to walk a different path. That's what I mean. If we want to get them out, we will have to walk a different path. To the one we
Path
were
to what, my
walking.
love?
To the one we were walking. Because the one we're walking takes us to Ulrich. So unless it is your intention to walk them straight into death, which I am assuming it is not, then we will have to go a different way. And that is the way that I am not 100% certain of. My senses are homing me into Ulrich, not to a way out.
I will roll a survival. Is that going to be the best one here?
I don't know what you're rolling for.
To see if I can find the way that looks least dangerous and or more human. Given that it seems to be a
here.
bit of an overlap. Because you said
me-
there's an overlap, so I'm looking for signs where
It's
the
more,
mortal
yeah.
realm is stronger.
Give me a perception or survival, whichever's up to you.
I'll do a survival. That is a 24.
Okay. You do like looking around, and you sort of almost zen out from this lot, and you start noticing areas where actual non-fae creatures are poking their heads out or hiding as close to the like deep roots of the trees or in the branches where they're less copper and more that dark greens and or real dark greens and browns. And you reckon you could probably find a, like you say, a much stronger, potent presence of the material realm that, you know, there's no reason to say that wouldn't be a best way out. But you're pretty confident you could get to a point as you described.
I relay my reasoning for picking a seemingly arbitrary direction.
Well, that way.
I mean, it seems as good as any. We've not seen any foxes, rabbits, anything but that way. Foxes, rabbits. Less copper, more green. Good as plan as any.
And then that is the way we'll walk.
Out of character question. Kess has never been able to kind of get a feel for where the veil was thicker or thinner, etc. It's always been a very arcana-based thing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I just wanted to check. I didn't want to be like boop 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 boop, and then afterwards, when we were doing the thing, you're like, "It's weird she never asked about that," and I'm like, So I just wanted to double check for my notes. Cool.
Ari will kind of pull out the little dagger that he took off the.
Gedden immediately puts his hand on yours to hide it. No. They can find it. Yeah, they use his to find the small ones, the little ones. And he means the knife. Hide it.
Puts it away again immediately. He's like,
What do you mean they fuse his to find the smaller ones?
Yeah, who's he?
It's Ulrich. He's the leader. His is it's not nice to be around. It's horrible. It's very cold. It's like touching freezing cold iron. But they did some magics on the smaller ones, and it made the metal go rusty. But they use them to cut open the whatever it is they're cutting, like the curtains of here and there. But they don't last very long. But they can use Ulrichs to find the little ones if they lose them. But if you lose them, you don't want to tell Ulrich. He's never been horrible to me, but he's very, very good at being strong and stuff.
Looking directly at Ari and not at the child. How is it that you know this?
Well, I've seen it. Oh, you didn't. He didn't have his tabard on, did he?
No.
They told all of us when showed us when they brought us all together and stuff, and when we made our promises, they showed us what the knives did and stuff, and it's kind of scary, so we all kept quiet.
Were there a lot of you there?
There's a few of us, maybe there's more than 9. I can't really count past that, but there's.
Were they all children?
So, some of them were older than me, and they were bigger, and some of them were smaller, but the smaller ones they didn't last very long.
Kess looks absolutely furious. We need to get these people through to the other side of the veil, and we need to continue on with our task.
If you use a knife on the curtains, it tells the other knives where you are, so they can all come and help. So just be careful.
We wouldn't be using it anyway. It's not safe for us to do so regardless.
Geddy's just got his head eyes at the ground as Andrea speaks.
And I look at Ari. That dagger needs to stay away from me and Kest, especially. So don't let it out your sight. And the moment we have the chance to destroy it.
Oh.
So.
But it needs to also get out of the top forest and be destroyed. So I want to get to where these people are from, which is near where I'm from. I don't know.
Gather
the
them
best
up.
way to get there.
Speaking of gathering them up,
They've all sort of gathered.
do we reckon everyone could fit into, say, a 30-foot radius?
Radius, yeah.
That's into within 30 feet of me.
Oh, all
So,
around
yeah,
you?
right.
Yeah, easily, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what's happening?
Guess who's casting another spell? Let's have another pass without.
Moonbeam! Alright, Jesus. We turn them all into ash and then we can put them in a bag. They're easier
No,
to
I'm
carry as ash.
just gonna cast grow plant and just
Yeah.
see if that makes the pillars stronger because they have more food, or let's.
She's gone dark druid. She's gone dark druid.
I'm gonna do another pass without trace on
Okay.
everyone.
Okay. So give me your stealth checks. Ruby, can you give me an extra roll for the people? Can you give me an extra stealth roll for people? Just add 10 to it. The villagers do not have a dex bonus.
Yeah. Well, Ruby's is a 19.
19.
Taking into account the plus 10.
Jesus, alright.
It was not a great roll. So good job we've got that plus 10, and using a different die for the villagers.
That seems wise.
They have a collective 14.
Okay, 19, 14.
Do you want a reroll
I mean,
for the please?
is everyone
please,
willing
please.
for me to use the
Please.
Yeah.
Let's try the dice that Simon bought me. Is that the 20? I can't tell with these. They're too. Ah, yeah. They have a collective 28.
Jesus, alright.
I only
Village of ninjas.
I rolled a 3, so I've got 20.
Jesus. Guess.
31.
31. Guess.
27.
Sandria.
31.
21.
31.
31. Cool. Okay. And you all.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
God damn it. So, I've just got corona all over my face. You, as Ruby does her druidic craft, and you all feel the like the air around you go quiet, your steps grow quieter and such. Even your breathing is less audible. The villagers, bless them, are like, whoa. They feel like you've just awoken them in the Matrix. They're like, Jesus. Trying to click loudly and nothing's happening. The kids are jumping up and down, trying to make like noise, like loud noise, but it's just not happening. And before they can like shout out in frustration, Agrippina puts her finger on their lips,
Yeah.
and she nods to you. We'll follow as quietly as we can. Turns out they're quieter than Ruby, but
Was Geddon included in the villagers' role?
no, I rolled for Geddon.
Alright, okay.
A natural one.
Flare gun. Ah! Okay.
Turns out it was Ulrich all along.
Yeah, so you all move quietly and follow Ruby's lead, I'm assuming, as Ruby finds you a more potent material piece of this crossing of realms.
I'm going to follow up at the back to keep an eye out on that side of it.
It takes you about half an hour. You're trudging through. Again, hundreds of feet all around you. You can see these huge blood pillars in the distance into the forest and such. What you do eventually click is wherever the exactly what Ruby's looking for, the stronger presence of the material realm is. There is no sign of the blood pillars. You only ever see it in that very strong presence of the fair realm. Where you're heading now, you see less and less of the Knights of the Hooded Wolf out and silhouetted amongst the trees and such, and you see less of your kith with these blooded blisters upon them and such, and it becomes fresher, cooler, more real as the air that you're breathing. You can feel the weather of Ravenholm, but what you notice is it's cold and icy. There's an icy bite in the air. Xandria and Kess less so, but Xandria, you're actually quite uncomfortable with it. You wouldn't show it, obviously, but
She just always looks uncomfortable with it.
Permanently uncomfortable.
her emotions died with her tear ducts in the War of 28. But yeah, so, but Xandria, you are aware of the first day of Winter's Bite. You've just walked into it. As you turn, and you can't see the copper forest behind any of you, but in front of you is the thick, dark green wooded forest of the material realm of Ravenholm, and it is very icy cold. Sapphire, you give no fucks. This is not true icy cold until you've lived in Viconia for 10 years.
As we're kind of going, Sapphire would have been whispering questions to Ari about getting.
Okay, well, you go for it.
So just like, is that like, I don't want to say all humans look the same to me, but that boy, is he the same one that, you know, he's not very good at this.
Question. Ari didn't see Geddon when
He
we
didn't.
were delving because unconscious.
Ari did see Geddon.
Did he?
Yes, because the
As we were
choice
running away.
the choice for Ari was to run over to Geddon after seeing him impaled, or run over to the unconscious Dalefin and Sapphire, who took an absolute whooping, and you run over to them two, gave them potions, and ran away.
Yes, you did.
And then I was knocked unconscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be fair, you three were battered in that fight. You were in and out of
That was
consciousness.
horrific.
Yeah.
That wyvern was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a big boy.
But yes, so you are able to answer that question, you know, accurately if you so wish.
Ariel kind of nod and be, yeah, this is the what was the one that was around with the wyvern.
The wyvern? Yeah, oh, you mean the dragon?
Wyvern dragons don't exist.
Well, he sort of like puts a hand on his chest and rubs an old war wound at 9 years old, and he's like, I beg to fucking differ. Well, what was the dragon in the sky then?
Oh, that was Cockface, wasn't it? Sapphire says to Ari. I can't imagine that they shy away from swears in Viconian around the children.
No, but the temple in Vey.
Yeah, but going
Level
into the
6
cold
monk.
has reminded. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's having flashbacks. It's what my dad used to call me, cockface, every morning.
I mean, his sister's name is literally. Yeah.
Cockface is quite gentle.
You've got at least one cousin called Cockface, haven't you?
Yeah, he has now, it's canon. So,
Ariel kind of like nodding, go, yeah, I don't think it was a true dragon. I think it was a person turning into a dragon.
Gedden looks at you like you've just, made something up. Oh, okay. And he's still giggling to himself.
Now dragons in Ravenholm, get it.
Okay, so next question. Alive how?
And he looks at his hand again.
It's a long story, everyone.
Yeah, I'm alive because I promised. Give me an insight check.
Oh no. Oh no, it's that's wisdom. That is still a natural one. Can I use a reroll?
Yes,
You
use
can
the
use
last
I think I've
one.
ever used
Why
That's the
not?
last one.
Yay!
See
Oh,
if we all
that's
die
better.
now.
I mean, yeah, that will be a problem. 12.
Mabonics, not a chance.
17. That's a 17. That's
17?
better. Yeah.
As he goes, I'm alive because I promised. He struggles with the word alive. Like it's confusing to him. Like he's picked the wrong word.
Okay.
You've made a promise to a higher being.
They were taller than me, yeah.
It's not quite what I mean, kid, but I think I understand what's going on with you.
Sapphire just kind of is quiet. It looks very confused, but it's like, no, I can't ask questions. I'm gonna look stupid now. But he's just kind of, okay, yeah, makes sense. Yep. Okay.
And you
I just look at Sapphire and I just go, he's somewhat similar to me.
go on, Sapphire. Go on.
I'm so sad I'm at the back of this party of like random villagers. Though to be a fly on
can
the
see
wall.
Sean's sarcasm all over his face.
He's like, you? When did you die? I know you're sick, but when did you die?
I die every time something stupid comes out of your mouth. It's just frequent.
If you're sick, I can heal you.
You can't heal me.
Gedden looks at Harry for confirmation. You're muted.
can't.
Mike.
Can't hear you. You didn't speak loud enough.
Pretty much what she said.
There we go.
There we go. Too quiet, Mel.
Okay.
I will.
That's what she said. Jokes in front of a child. Says to Harry.
Says cockface over here. No.
Yeah. much like the BBC, we can talk about violence, but we can't talk about sex.
No politics. Carry on.
I look to Gedden and can you by chance make a weapon appear and disappear in your own hand?
He nods.
That's all the confirmation I need.
Oh, okay. Higher being. Okay. Like penny finally drops. Was that why he's like, oh, cool. So is that what this army's made of then? Is it people that?
They all made promises.
They all made a pact.
That makes a lot of
And
sense. It's horrific, is
given-
what that is. He looks angry now. Like,
Given Ulrich and who it is he serves, I don't think it's a far-fetched to say that this pact is with the Red Lady.
She did have red on, yeah, and a basket full of apples.
Oh, to be young and in service.
He looks absolutely like, yeah, that's, yeah, whatever, yeah.
A poor choice. But given how you were last seen, I will take it under assumption that you made it because you were scared and you didn't know any better.
I didn't want to die.
Nobody wants to die. But death is an inevitable part of the cycle. And what you've done, whilst yes, you may be physically here, your being, your soul, your very essence does not belong to you anymore.
Yeah, she keeps it.
I'm aware.
okay, I've never wanted to wage war on a god or whatever the hell she is before. However,
She's not a god.
it's definitely a something.
Ruby,
If
now that
I-
sort of like back seemed to be somewhere a bit more material with fewer soldiers, and sort of like hung back a bit more to listen, and she's like, this is the woman who was talking a lot of nonsense.
She's
We were
not
in
well,
that
is she?
basement. No,
Not well,
her.
is
Yeah,
she?
yeah.
No,
No,
I
no,
know,
not
I know,
her
I
who's
know.
not well. The other one who came afterwards and just
Yes.
spoke nonsense at us for like 10 minutes.
Yes.
Can pacts be broken? What happens now if he breaks his promise and comes home?
Generally, if you break a pact with the being that has granted you your powers, normally it would lead to death. Unless you have made a pact with someone who is not malicious. But given that this is the Red Lady we're talking about, I'm going to guess if he breaks the pact he has made with her, while she is still alive and still functioning, she will kill him.
Well, thank you. You just basically gave me the information I needed.
Harry,
Oh, she was already on the
Give me
list.
an
Those are
insight
her
check.
trees.
the reaction to Xandria's words, Gideon appears to have heard before, or is at least not reacting to them in a shocked manner. Mainly around the breaking promises and promising to others.
It's not a common thing in Ravenholm to have a pact to a higher being. It's somewhat frowned upon, in fact.
Well, yes, it was pretty much screamed from the rooftop, so to speak, when I came here, not to mention that I was a warlock.
A warlock? I thought you were a cleric.
No.
But you said I was the same as you, a little bit, and I'm a cleric.
No, child, you are not a cleric at all.
Oh, kid.
But I can like heal people and stuff.
How do you heal?
He looks around for something, and then he uses the knife that Kess gave him, and he just cuts his hand, and he puts his.
Bring me into. I'm at the back making sure the old folk don't fall over. Leave me alone.
That's what I was like when I was playing with the children. I was like, no, I'm not.
Playing
I'm
with
staying
Harry
out
gave
of
him
this.
the knife anyway.
No, Harry
Kess-
didn't give him
Kess
the
gave
knife.
him
I
the
gave
fight.
him the knife.
But Harry let
I
him
gave
keep
the
it.
child the knife. You,
Harry let him keep it. When he asked if he should give it back, Harry said, "Keep it." And Kess is a scary motherfucker. He dances like in that fight. He ruined people with 2 swords. That kid was like, "I'm staying the fuck away from him." And he places palm to palm, and you see a bright light with a red hue to it as he casts Cure Wounds, and the wound on his hand seals. Just like that.
And I just bend down and I take his hand and I turn his hand over,
Yep.
and then I prod at where he just cut.
It's healed as you've been healed by potions and such, and the druidic magics and that of thingy. You recognise a divine or a healing arcane property to what he's just done to his hand. He has definitely cured
I mean,
wounds
Harry
on
would
his hand.
recognise that spell because he literally uses
Yep.
that spell. So, yeah.
He did it slightly different to you, but he definitely cast cure wounds. See, that's I can do other stuff that clerics can do. And he summons his short sword.
Who's your god then?
The red lady.
The Red Lady, who, as we pointed out, is not a god.
But she does ride a motorbike.
Whatever it is that she has granted power-wise, it's definitely not a pure warlock thing then. Which is interesting.
They're not allowed to be warlocks. They hunt warlocks down.
There is most definitely a little bit
Of warlock in you.
Otherwise, there's a little bit of warlock in you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do that. And I point to the summon sword.
All the clerics and paladins can do it. And he sort of gestures back towards the forest.
I am rather intrigued now to have a very interesting conversation with the Red Lady.
Can you? Sapphire
Yeah,
like
so the way that
pulls a small dagger and cuts the back of his hand. And holds it out to the kid. Can you heal me?
Yeah, but only maybe once more, and then I got a rest. I can only do it a couple of times a day. And he puts his hand on the back of yours, and you feel a divine warmth similar to when Harry's cured you in the past, probably multiple times. And you receive cure wounds from Geddon.
I thought it may have been a specialist thing they can do for each other, you know. He says to the rest of the party. But thank you, Geddon.
It's okay. He makes his sword disappear. I don't like using the sword, I just like using the healing.
I have a heart.
I'm pretty good with it though. I've been practicing with it with the knife that and he sort of, don't even say his name, just nods towards Kess at the back playing with old people. But I'm all right with it. I can parry now and stuff, but I prefer to stay out of the way and just heal a little bit. So, are you done with whispers and moving on?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. As you crack out into the material realm, or what feels very strongly like the material realm, Ari, you are overwhelmed with nostalgia. as you see the vast,
That giggle.
overwhelmed
I'm in
die.
trouble.
You're in trouble.
So, give me a moment, children. It is the middle of the day. You are out in the forest of Ravenholm. The sound of nature just descends upon you. Ruby, you feel it coming a mile away. You're like, yes!
Yes.
And the sounds,
Moan.
it is abundant with life all about you. Birds chirping, the insects making noise, the creatures in the undergrowth. Like you've just stepped fully into a world that you've missed for so long.
It does give Ruby pause though if it feels like winter but there are insects chirping and that many birds.
Blue sky, middle of the day.
Yeah, you can get blue sky in December, it's still too cold for insects.
Alright, blue sky, middle of the night. That freak Ruby out.
You'll make a crop, is what you do.
Give me a nature check.
That is a naturey looking dice.
It's green.
Fire. 17.
17. You almost translate the noise. It's as if all the creatures, whether they be aerial, ground-based, insect, etc., are running from somewhere almost, can't believe I would have said this sentence, but like refugee-like. The creatures are escaping the forest, hence the abundance of noise despite the seasons.
So they're escaping the copper forest?
They've come back from the direction that you've came. They're
Right.
probably as freaked out as maybe yourself was, or Jeremiah, that the crossing of Fae Realm and Mortal Realm and Material Realm, and they're a little bit confused, a little bit frightened, and they are buggying out of there. And you being who you are and used to the company, they tend to be gravitating in your area. Harry, you see before you the beautiful landscape from on high where you are, and you look down into these valleys of the House of Eagles and its surrounding territories. What you all see in the distance, and it's a fair amount of travel, and the size of this thing is ridiculous in that, considering how far away you are, is a giant ivory wall that stretches from a huge mountain range south towards some sort of long, wide estuary river type thing. And this ivory wall is like, there's no other description other than gargantuan and ivory. You try to think of a poetic way to spin it, of other things to compare it to in your life. This wall is an absolute wonder of the world in comparison to the things you've seen. This ivory wall stretching from north to south in a near straight line. As best as the dwarven bricklayers that built it could do. And you see the mountain range to the northern tip, and you see forests and estuary to the southern tip of this wall. But it is enormous, and there are high towers, banners flying upon the wall itself. You can't see them, but it doesn't take a genius to look at Harry's rapier and assume that they are there. The dipping into the valleys and seeing the populaces towards you to the south, you can see it's more mountainous around here. And the trees sort of sink into the valleys, and the mountains overpeak them and grow up from within. You see a massive city that is bigger than Ebendorf, but reminds you of the busyness and vastness of your very, very brief moment in the city of Ravens. It could probably rival the capital itself. But where you look down into it, you see this sprawling city, and it is, from here it looks quite close to the wall because you're looking down into a valley from far away. But it is probably a good couple of days trek from the city to the wall itself. What you see, Ari, is Geiselfurt, the capital of the province of the House of Eagles, deep in the valley beneath you. You are home, Ari, or at least on the edge. And there are birds chirping all around you.
Sapphire's just
Not
looking up
raining.
like, holy crap.
The wall's miles away, Sapphire, but you are...
Looking forward, like, holy
I know you're fast, but Jesus. I spend 4 million feet and appear next to the wall. 1 key point.
I think, in fairness, Kess will probably be similar because that is, I think, pretty safe to say the largest, like, humanoid-made structure he has ever seen by quite a long shot in his squish. So it's quite a feat of
The best
modern
thing,
engineering.
the best thing
Would it be
Zandria could compare it to is the vastness of the oasis that is the Summer Realm. Just being in the oasis presence of how gargantuan it is around you, and you feel that it is endless. The wall has that similar effect of shit. That is a fucking big wall. Sorry, Ruby, go on.
Oh, Ruby is still taking in the view and sort of half mutters. Still pretty impressive.
How far away are they from, like, this village essentially?
From the village.
From the village that we've taken all the people back from.
Oh, okay. So you don't you don't see a village nearby, but you know that where you are from. If you were to look at the map, and you look at Torberg on the map,
Yep.
where you are now, you are probably about a day out north, a day out east from Torberg.
Cool.
Maybe 2 days. 2 days out from Torberg. The map is obviously not good at dipping valleys and stuff, so you will have to go with your imagination.
If we were to go to the wall, would we go that same way to take them kind of back closer to where they're from?
Well, you could either go via Torberg and down, or you can go around. It's entirely up to yourselves. Trekking through just this landscape, you two being outlanders, and you know that direct is probably days added onto your travel trying to go through these mountainous areas and where these forests are. Whereas obviously the roads here are, from immediately just seeing around you and looking at them, they look so much better made than anywhere else in Ravenholm. If you were to ask, Ari would explain speed is key in the House of the Eagles territory, in case they need reinforcements on the wall, which is constantly. I will say, however, you do not see any of the strange creatures you saw in those visions trouncing across the House of the Eagles.
That's nice. Well, at least.
Good.
To start.
Yet.
Yeah.
Wait till you get closer.
Yep.
So what do you wish to do?
No weird creatures yet.
Question mark, Aid is a knob.
Well, I'm still helping Agnes out the woods, so by the time that I've got up to you guys, then I'll...
You get slapped by this old lady. Stop calling me Agnes, it's Gertrude for the last time. Bloody long-eared. She's got very short
I
ears,
guess.
don't they?
I guess if we're out, then obviously we will want to start heading in the direction of where these people live so that we can deposit them back home and never look at them again.
There is a moment for you, Zandria, where that first step is quite difficult to go in the opposite direction to the pull, but you're Zandria, summer breeze. You fight through it.
Of course I do.
Of course I do.
Of course I do.
3 hit
Also
points, level
because-
20.
Ever live. Yeah.
Because it's fucking cold, as you said. Given the time of year, I take it the temperature and the time of year do not match.
There is a...
I knew I meant to say something. It's a couple of months out, isn't it?
You are
No, you said it
you
was
are,
the
it's
ninth
10th,
month,
It's the 10th.
so
I changed it to
10th.
the 10th. So it is actually, when you asked, it was by the time I finished monologuing. It's the 10th month of the year. So it is close to the time of year you would expect it to be cold, but it definitely feels maybe early. I mean, you're a desert dweller, so yeah.
At any point, has someone told Sapphire that they were away for 6 months? Like,
We've
was
not
that
been
ever
away
actually?
for 6 months.
Weren't we in the Fey realm for like 6 months when we came out?
With 3. You were in there for 3.
3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah, we went into the Fey realm and came out months later, whereas we thought it was like a day.
No, you thought it was.
I mean, you thought it was a day.
Yeah, no
we
one's told
didn't think
Sapphire.
it was.
I thought I was just asking if it had been discussed. Sapphire has no idea. Okay.
They've experienced it before, so they've just assumed everything's hunky dory.
Yeah, we just assume you know at this point.
Don't assume Sapphire knows shit.
Oh, well.
So you're probably aware that winter is coming, but it has got here pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna almost offhandedly comment about the temperature and say like sort of like in the air, like sort of looking up at the sort of sky and you know, clouds and shit, and just
All that fluffy stuff.
the,
Blech.
the last frost is approaching.
Bit early.
Bit early, not that much. Ruby's from Fantasy Scotland.
It's very true.
It could have something to do with the Copper Forest's current state.
Oh, so like because the Copper Forest is going weird, we're getting like winter when we
autumn,
should be having
yeah.
summer.
We should be at, well, autumn, innit?
You've just left autumn behind, you're going into winter. Whereas,
Copper Forest is the realm of the autumn. So as it fades, so does autumn.
Well, yeah, but like I meant more time of the year because we're not in the Copper Forest anymore.
A slow step from where he.
It's the 10th month.
Yeah. She told us that before.
Who told you what?
Oh,
He was playing with the kids.
now he's worked at home. I'll go back.
I'm sorry, did I miss a quarter of the year?
No.
Well, it was enter date here when you met me. So,
No,
no?
no.
Sapphire, time progresses quicker in the Copper Forest. Or slower.
Sometimes quicker, sometimes slower, sometimes just the same. We should get a move on.
As people start walking, he's just stood there for a moment, like mind blown. That's all the things we could have done in that 3 months. And he continues walking.
Imagine. So, you're heading to Torberg? Is that the plan?
Apparently.
Head towards Torberg and then veer off to try and find their village, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. As you are travelling now westerly, you feel that you are up on high and making your way down to a higher place. It still looks down over the valleys, but is beneath yourselves. You spend the rest of the day trouncing along. Ruby's magic, hidden without trace, obviously fades unless she puts it back up. But you spend the rest of the day trouncing. On the road towards Torberg, it is uncharacteristically quiet, Harry. There, as in the traffic on the road. You meet nobody. It dips down, it comes round a very high, steep hillside and starts making its way, and you see Torberg ahead of you coming towards the evening of that day. And it's late evening. Darkness has dropped, nighttime is upon you. The moon is about 3/4 full-ish. A day or two more and it'll probably be full. It's that closer to it. But you
Gibbous.
there you go. But you what the druid said. But you the villagers have been very quiet. these creatures and birds and insects are still about. It's likely Ruby's fault. And they're kind of following you along during this very cold evening. Ahead of you here, the life and soul and noise of a town at night time. You can hear voices from buildings, possibly taverns or places of entertainment, chilling, etc. But you can hear them through the walls and such. You look towards the there is like a palisade wooden fence that goes around the town that's pretty new compared to this, again, very ancient old architecture of Torberg. You can hear people from beyond. You're right on the town. The gates don't exist, just this fence kind of got a gap in it on the western wall. There's a cold wind blowing through the town itself. There's no one out in the streets. You see buildings either side of you lit up from inside, and you can hear, I say merriment, but you can hear conversation, some merriment, some just presence of people. The flags and banners here are not of the eagle and not of the lily. You can see them just hanging, not blowing in any strong wind or anything, just draped the material without being able to see any of the iconography on them. And there are a few torches lit in the town and the odd owl hoot.
Previously, because I presume Ari would have been to this city.
You've been through Torberg.
Yeah.
Like a whirlwind. Go on.
So there are at least 3 taverns we can't go into.
Would it have been, obviously the fence is very new, but would it have been known for Torberg to be very much like flying the eagle flag, or because it's on the border?
It usually flies the eagle flag purely because of the merchantry that goes on here. For the House of the Red Lady, House of the Lily will bring stuff south, and because of the specializations each house has, bringing them to Torberg and then Torberg shift them onto the House of the Eagle. It used to be a House of the Lily town years and years ago, but the more and more that happened over the last, say, 20 years maybe, House of the Eagle kind of set in and they became very proud House of the Eagle members.
They'll kind of like beckon the party over away from the wall and kind of be like, I'm not sure if we should go in. Like, build
Sorry,
a
speak
town.
up, Mel. You're not sure if we should.
Go in. She's stage whispering, but real whispering instead.
Stage whispers.
He'll kind of be like, I'm not sure we should go in. It's always been an eagle town, apart from like Maybowen, but those aren't eagle banners. Can't see what they are, but they're not eagle banners. And that fence is brand new.
If you don't think we should move on ahead, then we'll send the people on and we'll make our way back. You know this land better than we do.
Got them out of the forest. That was the immediate danger.
I want to take them back to their home, try and make sure they're safe.
Well,
If
we
this
got them
is-
nearly all the way home. They said it's not far north of there.
They'll be safer in there than most of us will be.
Knowing how much they're looking out for us in particular. It's, especially after killing Ulrich's buddy. I don't know if it's sensible to go in the town. You know that's rich coming from me.
Let's
Yeah.
not then.
We send them ahead on their own. This is where we part ways. I'm sure they'll understand.
Sense.
What about you? What about me?
The battle.
It depends whether, Ari, you think he would be best to stay with them here, or to see if there was a place for him in your city by the wall.
Kind of look at him and kind of assess him a little bit.
He stands up, soldier straight, chest out.
He has promise.
He does. Anyone
And-
can see that.
As long as he hasn't got the thing, he won't be able to be tracked, right?
I don't know, but I'd rather not leave him in that town with questionable loyalties.
Oh no, 100%. I meant like. Well, I mean, we're obviously gonna have to part ways eventually. I just meant, yeah, we're taking to the town we're going to, your place, and like, then he may be able to be very useful to people around there, and he won't have to worry about other people finding him.
There's some good folk in my town. Who do you want to be, Devin?
I want to help the fairies for helping me.
Kess just looks immeasurably proud.
That's my boy!
One converted, 1 point to me, Drea.
A lot of deep fried Mars bar.
How the fuck do you want to convert the humans? Ew.
One less we need to fight.
You hear the creaking of a door as you turn, and the closest building to you, which doesn't appear to be a tavern, but definitely had people in there of merrymaking. And out steps a woman with a shaved head, but has got a mohawk that's real short, Mr. T style. Her forearms and shoulders are thick, solid, blacksmith-esque. As she's not very tall, but she definitely fills a presence when she steps out. And you can tell this woman has spent a lot of time doing manual labour. She steps down. On her side are 2 thick short swords, no sheath, just a hoop sheath, so you can see the thick blades. These blades are akin to Atorian blades, so they've got a straight edge and a point, so they're used for thrusting. Ari, you'll have seen similar swords in a forge near the wall. They're known as gladius or gladi, and they are an Atorian weapon and really useful on the wall because of their short stabbing nature. Anything coming over the wall, boom, get stabs in the face. You also recognise the woman stood before you as Anastasia Vantu, the swordsmith that created the rapier and dagger that you have at your hip. She looks across to you. You recognise the scars on her face from a forging accident she refuses to talk about as you see the small burns on her face. And she just looks straight at you and goes, Harry? And we will call the session there. Bring on the backstory!
Well. Well.
Having fun, Harry.
We will go to a new.
Her garb is very casual of someone who would be just chilling out in a tavern. Just a vested shirt, so her thick, muscular arms and shoulders are on display, and just a pair of trousers, loose and comfortable. And the swords on her hip.
One thing that Ari can't be without, and that is a woman that looks like she could kill her.
It's funny you say that. Mel sent me a list of women that could kill her.
I'm just looking at his past. So there's the ex who saves the wall now, who is clearly an absolute badass. There is Drea, who has repeatedly tried to kill him. There's this woman who we can assume because, well, it's Ari. there seems to be a bit of a theme. Just saying.
Well, we'll find out next Tuesday, won't we? So, thank you very much for tuning in. That was cool. Yeah, that was cool. I really enjoyed tonight's session. Thank you very much, players. Thank you very much, viewers. It's been great, amazing. I'm so glad to be back. It's 2021, and let's smash the shit out of the year and see where we can take this bunch of coconuts on their campaign and story. We are finally in the territory of the House of Eagles, where the ivory wall and demons be. So, is Ashana streaming? Does anybody know?
Yes.
Yes.
So, my lovely, lovely community, we are going to raid Ashana now, one of our sponsors. She will be doing some glass work, as she always does on a Tuesday. It will be amazing, and you will be impressed, I promise you. So please say hello, give her some gravy time, and tell her and send her some heavyweight gaming love. And yeah, so join us next Tuesday to see where this lot go. And if you fancy a bit of cyberpunk, join us Thursday for Carbon 2185, the sweet shop. Right, for now, say goodbye, players.
Bye,
Bye, players.
Bye, players.